Okay, hey everybody. I'm with Chad McCallum here. Chad is the pastor of one of the greatest churches, no, not one of
It
the
is the greatest
greatest
church.
in the world. Tell him what's the name of your church?
Well, I pastor in a little town called Hayward, and I pastor a wonderful church called Hayward Wesleyan Church, and I stand on the shoulders of a man who looks like Tony Danza named Mark Wilson.
Well, Chad, thanks for coming in and joining us today. Um, the reason why I brought you in today is I wanted to talk about being missional in the midst of a crisis like the virus that's happening
Yeah,
right now, and you've had to rethink church, to rethink like how do we do things, how do we go about it, and I just absolutely loved your missional response to all of this, and I thought it would be helpful for my future pastors who are in my class, because they're going to end up facing a situation, hopefully not like this. Hopefully
yeah,
this is a
yeah.
once in a lifetime deal, but there'll be something. I mean, September 11th happened back in my tenure at Hayward,
Right, right.
and I had to deal with that, and this is very similar to that.
Yeah.
So like, what's going through your head, right? Well, first of all, how are you guys handling it? How are you
Oh,
dealing with all this stuff?
well, personally, I'm a little winded right now. Uh, I feel like I've been running like this week. I think it's only Tuesday, right? No, it's
Yeah,
Wednesday.
I think so.
It's Tuesday. No, it really is Tuesday. Honestly, I'm not saying that jokingly. It's Tuesday when we're recording this, but it feels like it's a Friday. Like I feel like we it. You and I were talking the other day, Mark. It feels like our generation. My kids don't remember this, and maybe the college students might not even. But it feels like a long, slow 9/11,
Mhm.
and with constant updates. My wife texted me this afternoon that they're closing all the restaurants in Wisconsin, like, temporarily.
Wow.
Except you can take a drive-through, but in Hayward we have one drive-through,
One drive through.
and you can
You're
take
gonna love
yeah,
McDonald's, baby.
McDonald's is gonna have a line out to the road. And so anyway, so all that to say, it wears on your soul a little bit. Like you
Yeah.
really, and it makes me I try to start my day every single day before I talk to people about God. I try to talk to God about people, and one of those people is me, right? And so I try to have my own quiet time. I don't call devotions devotions. I call it being mentored by the Holy Spirit.
Oh,
So
that's good.
I'm a firm believer in having lots of mentors in my life. I'll call anybody and ask for help. And so, how we doing? We're doing all right. I've been on the phone a whole lot. I talked to my uncle Phil this week. He pastors out in Seattle, and he's been dealing with this 2 weeks longer than the rest of us. So I figured he has 2 weeks more experience than the rest of us. So I called him to say, hey, how are you getting through this? What are you doing? What are you learning? What are you telling your people and all of that? So all that to say, it is a new. None of us planned for this a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
Nobody did. Nobody did. And anybody who says they had a plan for this is lying. But that's another story for another day. So
So,
yeah,
so how are you thinking about the community? I mean, the natural thing is to hunker down, to
yeah,
self-protect, to just live in fear.
yeah,
But that's what I've noticed, that you haven't done that. You've kind of gone the opposite direction with that.
yeah. Well,
What
I'll
do
tell
you
you
do?
right now. I think my uncle Phil's helped me with this. He said it again today to me. There's a difference between uh, fear and concern. So fear is over and over again in the Bible. We're told, "Don't be afraid." But am I concerned? You bet I am. I mean, I think we all ought to be concerned. My wife's a public health nurse, and so she comes home at the end of the day and tells me updates, and I'm like, yeah, we ought to be concerned. But but from a practical point of view, I've tried in my own life to say, how do I, by this I mean in the last 72 hours of my life, and I've always tried to have this as a posture in my heart. I don't want, I do not want to run my church from this office. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And so yesterday, when I was going to lunch at my favorite little place, if we were talking about evangelism today, I would tell you, you need to be a strategic consumer and consistently go to similar places and get to know the servers and all of that.
Yeah, which
So
place did you go to?
well, I went to Main Street Tacos, which
Oh,
is new.
I love Main Street
Yeah,
tacos.
but it's really new since you've been here. But that
I
whole
know.
family would consider our church their church family.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
so I went there yesterday as much as anything to make a pastoral call, but also I went there because I want to be out and about. I want to be hearing. I mean, it ended up Rachel, who runs the restaurant, sitting at my table saying, "Man, I'm really wrestling with what to do. Like there's a lot of fear out there, and what do I do as a business owner and all that." And so trying to be present in people's lives. There's I could show you my desk right now, but you don't want to see it. It looks like a disaster. But I don't, as it relates to the way we relate to people, I don't want it to feel like a disaster. I want to be. I was reading in my Bible this morning when Jesus sent the disciples out two by two, and he said, when you go to a town and you come to a house and you go in the house, speak peace to that house.
Hmm.
And I thought, okay, whatever conversations I'm in today, I want to speak peace in that conversation. I don't want to be, I have my own, I have a whole lot of things like, I literally, right before we talked today, Mark, I said to my dad, I said, we're doing things in 3 days that usually we would say, oh, well, we'll take about 3 months to get that done. And so,
Yeah.
and so I'm trying to say, how do I even in moments just say, okay, I'm gonna have a moment of peace. I'm gonna go walk around this place. I'm gonna go walk down Main Street. I'm gonna go just breathe some fresh air and keep my own soul fed in that way. So, I think that I think people are looking for that. Everybody right now is experiencing this in their own way, and the more we can, when we walk into a setting, say, I bring peace in this setting, and pray peace for people. I think that's really a boost. I think. I mean, that's the mindset I'm trying to have. So.
Yeah, well, that's really a beautiful mindset, and thinking in terms of the community at large
Hmm.
versus just the people
Yeah,
that attend a church.
yeah. And so I don't view myself right now as, I do think about my people, like, and I think of them as they were Mark's people. Now your
Yeah,
people will be my people, and your God will be my
that's
God.
right.
But
There you go.
I do think about the people of our church. I do think about them. I do think, how do we care for them, communicate with Pastor Loretta, who's on staff here. I've told her, Loretta, if every time, or I need for the next few weeks, every time I see you, you need to be on the phone talking to somebody. And we're just calling every person that's been here in the last 2 years just to say, how are you? How can we pray for you? How can we walk with you through this? Is there
Mm-hmm.
anything you need? And she's raising up other people as well to help her with that. But so I think about our people, but I also think about our town. And I'm not saying this to blow sunshine, but this is what you did so well, Mark. You modeled this, and this has always been a heartbeat that I've had. I think it's part of the reason why you and I have why I've succeeded you in the way people have received me the way they have,
Yeah.
because I have that similar kind of heartbeat. That I was on the phone yesterday with our school superintendent. I was on the phone on Sunday afternoon with Charlie Munich, who the students will love this. He's the mayor, but he's also the town locksmith. So
And the dilly bar champion of the
he
world. He
he
eats the
does.
bestest dilly bar.
He eats dilly bars faster than any human being I've ever seen. So that's he's amazing at it. But and so I was on the phone with him, and then I called today. I was on the phone with, his name's Chris. He's the head of the Chamber of Commerce, and just saying, hey, if there's anything you need, even if it's just you just need to vent, I want you to call me. I want you to call us. If you need hands to do something that fits within the guidelines we're all supposed to follow, I want you to do that. And so trying to have that posture, that just says, hey, you are not alone right now. And what's amazing is every single one of those people at the end of that call, I said, hey, can I just pray for you real quick?
Mm.
And I just said, what's the number one thing I can pray for you right now? Not a single one of them rejected it. And Charlie's a believer. Charlie, our mayor, he's a follower of Christ and all of that. But they all to a person said, yeah, we need prayer right now. Like, yeah,
Mm.
we need. And so I think sometimes as Christians, sometimes we work so hard to not embarrass people with the fact that we're Christians.
Hmm.
So we kind of play it down a little bit, like, oh, I want to be kind of undercover as a Christian. And part of me thinks we can do that for so long that we almost end up convincing ourselves that we're not a Christian. Like we, you know, we think, oh, I don't have to say, I'm not going to say anything. Oh, you're fine.
Sorry.
Like, the old saying, St. Francis of Assisi allegedly said, preach the gospel at all times, if necessary, use words. Well, number
Mm.
one, there's a whole lot of people who think he never said that. And two, a whole lot of what he taught wouldn't have said that either. Like, yeah,
Mm.
I want to live a life that communicates. I like what it says, and I'll put it on a plaque and all of that. But the reality is, I do think there's times right now where people need to know there's hope in Jesus. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, tell them the words, give them the
right,
words.
right. And in moments like these, and I'm not talking about being weird. I'm not talking about weirdness at all. I'm just, hey, how can I pray for you today? Hey,
Hmm.
listen, I'm a phone call away. Like I've tried to say that in the last 72 hours when I talk to people. Listen, I'm a phone call away. If you need me, I'm a phone call away right now. And so, yeah, I mean, it's uncharted waters though. I mean, it really uncharted in the sense that everybody's in the same boat. Like we've all had crisis in our own lives, but individually, but suddenly everybody, and is in that same
Yeah,
boat.
so basically, what we're all experiencing at the same time is what somebody is experiencing at any given moment, like all the time. I mean, like all
Right,
the time.
right,
So
yeah,
whatever it is, that uncertainty, that scariness that we don't know about tomorrow and all that,
yep, yep,
like, yeah, like last month, somebody else, maybe it was about cancer
yep,
or about heart disease or divorce or whatever, but there's
yeah.
something.
Well,
And
even good
uh,
grief, about a couple months ago, I'm in Walmart here in town, which that's big business. That wasn't here when you moved here years ago. So
you know,
Walmart is. I was in Walmart and I saw a lady in there who you would know, Mark. Her husband. She's the head of the ukuleles and the ukelads. I'll let your students try to figure out what that group does. But anyway, they play ukuleles and sing country
yeah.
music. And so I saw her in the store. She's never been in my church. Not my knowledge, she's never been here one time. And I saw her in the store, and I said, "Hey," I said, "you look kind of down today. How you doing?" And literally, she went to tears that fast. She said, "I'm just coming from the hospital." She said, "My husband, he was injured really badly. He's going to be bedridden for a long, long period of time." And we're standing in the cereal aisle at Walmart having this conversation.
Mm, mm,
And those are moments that you have to slow down as a pastor. I
mm.
don't think you can be missional and be living life at Mach 5. Like, I mean, you can maybe be uh, you can have a witness, but it's like watching a shooting star across the sky.
Yeah.
And I almost think if somebody really wants to live a life on mission in an intentional way, you have to slow down. And that's hard for me. Like that's really hard for me. But you have to slow down and say, tell me more. Like that question right there, people will tell you things you never expected them to tell you. Just tell me more. So for right now, we're encouraging all of our people here. We're telling them stay connected. So we are saying we are discouraging gathering. Part of being a good Christian right now, like you had said to me before, we're discouraging gathering, but we're encouraging connection. So
Yeah.
there's this little thing called a phone, and you're able to talk into it
Mm,
and communicate with people, and it's an amazing thing. And so we're saying stay connected, make a phone call, send a text, have a chat like this. A lot of people have FaceTime. Whatever connected looks like, stay connected. We're telling people to stay generous with their resources because we naturally want to cling and we
mm,
want to hold on to something. But I think these are times when people will give, people that never would have given before to fund something or give to something, they'll give right now.
yeah.
They'll say, I want to help. I can do that. I don't want to get the virus, but I can do that.
Mhm,
Um, and we're telling people to stay hopeful. Like
mm,
that's the piece. I've been thinking about peace and hope and the fruit of the spirit, love, joy, and peace. And to me, like that peace piece, I keep going back to, because when I feel the most anxious, and good grief, we all do when we watch the news and all of that, I think to myself, all right, this isn't a fruit of the Spirit. This
Yeah.
is not God's voice in my life right now. That's the enemy saying, you need to be afraid and you need to buy 50 rolls of toilet paper and you need to do this right now. But to say, no, I'm going to be a person of peace right now. I'm going to say, I want to keep my hope. I'm going to be a person of hope. I honestly believe that, I mean, we've closed our church. Or we haven't closed our church. We closed our building. We're moving everything online. But I honestly believe that when we come back together in this property, in these grounds, come Mother's Day, Lord willing, I believe there'll be people that are here that are followers of Jesus Christ that were not followers of Jesus Christ, and they weren't here 8 weeks prior.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
what I'm praying. Like, that's my prayer is,
Mm.
God, would you do that? And I think that God I think if I was thinking about that verse, I will build my church. And it's like, okay, this is really random. But when I was a kid, my dad used to always load the dishwasher. And I would come alongside of him and I would say, I'll load the dishwasher. And he'd say, no, 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 I load it a certain way. Like that was it was like, I will load my dishwasher and no one else will. And so I remember one day though, watching my dad do it. And I was like, he has a certain way that he does it. And I don't do it the way that he does it. It's better. He does it better than I do it. And I was thinking about that ironically this morning when I was putting some dishes in the dishwasher. And I thought, Jesus said, I'll build my church. And now he invites us to be co-laborers in that with him. But he can build it however he wants to build it. And he's going to build it better than we would have ever built it, like on our own. And so I keep pondering that. I'm going to let him load the dishwasher. That's what I'm going to let God do these days. You know, I'm going to, God, if this is how you want to build your church, this is how you want to load the dishwasher, I'll do it that way, you know, and I'll learn. I mean, we're learning in 3 days what we would learn usually in 3 years, but I'll learn it. So,
You know, it's beautiful to see your heart in this and how you love the community and these people. And Chad, I thank you for taking time to talk to our students today. They're not able to meet just like you at the church, but there's different modalities, different ways to go about it. And God's going to give you creative ideas and stuff. I'm looking forward. I'll be coming to your church this Sunday, so I'll be there.
Well, we're still figuring that one out, but I'll tell you what, it's going to be fun. That's for sure. Let me say one thing to the students in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
What you're learning right now about how to learn differently, 20 years from now, when you're sitting in a seat like I'm sitting in, you'll look back and you'll say, oh yeah, I walked something through when I was a college student. I can sort this out. Like you'll point back to these days and you'll say, okay, we can, and it'll be totally different. It'll be totally different. You'll be talking in holograms to one another. So it'll be totally different.
You know, that's really true. That there's a training in this. There's an equipping with this.
Yeah.
So we got to learn. We have to go through it. We have to go through it. So we might as well grow through it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we just put some, learning into it, and that's what you're doing.
I think you got to keep laughing too. Somebody told me yesterday, Dennis Smith, that this guy posted that after 4 days without sports, he noticed there was a woman sitting on his couch. He didn't know who she was. He asked her, and she said, "I'm your wife." With that, I'll say goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, well, thank you. God bless you, Chad. I really appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man, I love you, brother.
All right. Have a good one.
We'll
Thanks.
see you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.